go on now to topic 3 of chapter 9. We're looking at multiplication rules of probability and conditional probability. Now you've watched the flipped classroom video to get some background. So for number 1, sort of an easy one. Determine if the following events are independent. Robert buys a new computer. Kathy puts together a small bookcase. I think we can all agree that these are independent events. All right, let's go up a little. Number 2. Take a moment, read it. Not shutting off water in the kitchen sink and receiving a high water bill. Well, these would be dependent. Now, I recall another time the example they gave me was someone winning a marathon one year and winning a marathon the next year. Would those events be independent? And the answer is no, they are not independent. And you might say, why? Well, because of the training that is involved. Now, the idea of winning may not be dependent or independent, but the idea that in preparation for the event, that is the dependent part. So they would be dependent. Okay, well, that one's not here, but you'll have to see which ones you get if you get any of this nature. So we have out of 350 applicants for a job, this many are female, and this many are female with a graduate degree. So what is the probability that a randomly chosen applicant has a graduate degree? Given, and this is the conditional part, they are female. Well, this is straightforward. There's 56 of the females have a graduate degree, and this is 162. Now we can take 2 out of each one and get 28 over 81. So we can use the fraction. Now converting that to a decimal and rounding to 4 decimal places. Take a moment, see what you get. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's kind of interesting. So with 4 decimal places, a 6 will become a 7. But that was sort of interesting, isn't it? All right, let's go on. Now for number 4, we are to consider this table for our data. Now, given the wife has between 100,000 and 150,000 of insurance. All right, so let's find that. That's this area right here. What is the probability that her husband has more than 150,000? So again, this is the husband here, and we're looking for more than 150,000 is this one. So what we need to do is add up this column. And when I did that, I got 215. And then this is the number of husbands, 160. And then we're to round our answer to 4 decimal places. So this is going to be 0.74418. So rounding it to 4 decimal places, 0.7442. Okay, straightforward, but they're not giving us a lot of information as to what these numbers are, but we're assuming these are the number of individuals that they did the survey of. In number 5 now, we have Mr. Burke's physics class has this many students, and we're looking at our data. What are they asking us? What is the probability that he selects a female given that he chooses randomly from the seniors only? So again, there's lots of data, but this is conditional probability. So how many seniors do we have? Add these two together and we get 31. How many females out of those seniors? 20. So as a fraction would be this, or as a decimal, 0.64516. And rounding to 4 decimals, we drop the 6 and add a 1 there, so 6452. Now, in some cases, you get a second part of this, but I didn't print that up so it wouldn't be too long, but giving you some practice. Now, for number 6, we have a box containing 7 green and 11 white marbles. If the first marble chosen was green, what is the probability of choosing without replacement another green marble? Now, this one's a little tricky. And what's going on? Well, they're saying here that you've already picked a green. So they're asking you, what is the probability then of picking another green? So now, since this is without replacement, you have 17 left in the pot, and there are only 6 green potentially left. So when you do the figuring, this is the only one you use under these conditions. So the decimal would be 0.35294. So doing this to the 4th decimal place, you just drop the 4, and then this is your answer. So this one's a little tricky. Here you've already selected one. They're not asking if you were going to select both of them in this order. If you were doing it that way, then you would just multiply these. But in this case, they're only asking for this. Okay. Take a moment to read this over. So we're going to choose a spade out of 52 cards. So that's 13 spades out of 52. But we're not going to replace the cards. But then we're going to select a diamond. There's 13 diamonds. But now there's one less card in the deck. So that is 51. And 13 over 52 is 1 out of 4 times 13 out of 51 gives us 13 out of 204. And that is a fraction that you could use, or converting that to a decimal, that's 0.06372. Rounding it to 4 decimal places, looks like that. We're going to drop the 2. All right, number 8. Take a moment, read it. Suppose there are this many sophomores and this many juniors. The teacher wants to have a demonstration where they'll select 2 students, first a junior and then a sophomore. What would be the probability of that? Well, we have to add these 2 together. And when we do that, we get 42 students in the class. A junior would be 25 out of 42. Now, the sophomores, there's 17. But now there's 1 less individual. So this is 41. And when we do that, we get 425 over 1722. And then figure out what would your decimal be here to 4 decimal places. 24,680. And again, rounding it to 4, it's just this. So again, if you're catching on, the conditional part is that there's no replacement. So you have fewer to choose from. Let's go on again. Now, for number 9, let me give you a chance to work this whole thing. I'll give you a hint in that when I added up all the coins, there are 67 coins. And let's see what you can get. Okay, that you're going to pick a nickel the first time is 19 out of 67. That you're going to pick a nickel again on the second time, well, there'd be 1 fewer nickel and 1 fewer coin. Now, if we were going to simplify this fraction somewhat, 19 out of 67. 18, I can take a 6 out of there, and that would become a 3. 6 out of there, and that becomes 11. So this is going to be 57 over 737. Sounds like an airplane. And then in its decimal form, 0.07734, rounding it to 4, we drop the 4. Okay, again, the key is this is conditional because you are not replacing. You have one fewer nickel, one fewer number of coins. All right, number 10. We can raise it right here. In fact, we did one like this above. And this is another tricky one here. So what they're asking, and that's what you have to be careful of in answering, choosing a heart for the second card because you've already chosen a diamond. Now that would have been 13 out of 52, but now they're just asking the probability of choosing a second card, which is a heart. So 13 hearts, but now there's one fewer in the deck. So we get something very similar to what we did above. Again, tricky because they're not asking for the combination of choosing, just the second card. So this is going to be 0.25490. Easy to round to 4 decimal places, and then that would be your answer. Okay, we have one more lesson, and then our test, and then following that, the final exam. All right, we'll wrap this up now.